وراك لو سمحت، وراك لو سمحت، كان رافع ايده قبل بس. دكتور حسن وراك، معلش سامحونا بس عشان هو كان رافع ايده، إذا في وقت بس.
This is, I have a professional question. It is obvious that, you know, the life of media, I mean all media segments, is depending on the revenue of advertising. And it seems to me that the industry of advertising now in the States is shifting, you know, from one segment to another. And it is also clear that the printing press is the victim for this shift. And lately I was, you know, reviewing this matter, and I found a new model or a new term called the blockbuster model of advertising. And it says that it is very aggressive really model, and it will affect really the future of media. This is the last thing, yeah. So I want you just to give me some, you know, information about both the shifting of advertising and the term and the meaning of the term blockbusters and how it affects the media. Thank you.
الشخص اللي قدامك بس.
Yes.
20 ثانية عندك.
I'm an editor from India. You come out of a very rough period, the New York Times, and you're very happy that there are clear signs of recovery. But you've done it, it's my understanding that you've done it in the following ways. You become a smaller company, you've shrunk, you have fewer journalists. Maybe you needed to do that, but there's been a certain hardship. You've raised cover price. The Weekend now sells for $4. And you have loyal readers. I believe 4/5 of your net paid subscriptions come from people who have subscribed for over 2 years or above, which I think is a remarkable feature. But it took the recession to push you out of conventional thinking that the internet is all about sharing, that people will not pay. News has become a free good. Unless you give them something they really want to pay for, they're not going to pay. And taking a huge risk, led by Murdoch perhaps, and you're now going into new territory. You announced that from next year you'll begin to charge for clicks, I think. Whether it's going to be 50 or 100 clicks, after that it's going to be charged, I don't know. But is there any evidence that this is not going to retard traffic, that traffic will drop dramatically, and that you will suffer a setback? Is there any evidence to suggest that that will not happen? Or do you really have data to show that this model is going to work?
شكرا جزيلا. اسمحوا لي ما أقدر أخذ أي حد لأن الوقت خلص. I will give you 2 minutes to.
Okay.
We are running out of time. Sorry.
So, questions about the business model of the New York Times. Is it stable? Is it moving forward? Yes, we have borrowed money. I think many companies borrow money, and when credit is tight, that borrowing is expensive. When credit is not tight, it's not expensive. The New York Times reduced its cost structure last year by $475 million. We did that out of economic necessity. Advertising reduced, our profitability reduced, and we had to take action. I think every media company that I'm aware of, outside of perhaps some in India and China, has faced the same thing. Some have responded better than others. We're very pleased with the way we've responded. As I said earlier, our audience has never been bigger. And as you quoted, 800,000 of our subscribers have been with us 2 years or more, and it's not $4 on Sunday, it's $5 or $6, depending where you are. The subscription is $650 US in New York City, $750 US in the rest of the country. So the audience clearly values the editorial. In terms of the news, if all we did was report news events the next day, the way you described the paper would be exactly right. But while there is a proliferation of information in the world, there is not an equal growth in the amount of understanding and knowledge. So again, it's the context that is valuable the next day. Everyone knows the event, What they search for is, what does the event mean? How does it affect my life? How does it affect my neighbor's life? And that's where the New York Times excels and why the audience is valuable. The blockbuster advertising, I believe, refers to advertising pages on the web that take over the entire page when you click on the site and are very dominant. You can't avoid it. It's like an advertisement on television. And it becomes blockbuster when you go across a number of sites at the same time. The New York Times has been very creative in the advertising formats on the web, from big advertisers, Apple, IBM, many of the luxury advertisers who want to find a big presence, because the advertising model is not mature. We have to experiment with it. Lastly, in terms of the editorial position of the New York Times and its ability to continue, we've put our editorial quality up against anyone's and our editorial resources. We have the largest international news force of any American newspaper. We have a depth of editorial and coverage that's unmatched in the U.S., and that's why, as the Wall Street Journal comes into our territory, we're comfortable with where we stand. We're not complacent. We're aggressive in competing, but we believe our strengths are significant and have been won over decades and will carry us into the future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Goldman, on behalf of the Press Club and our audience, and we wish you all the best. Thanks for that. شكرا لكم جميعا. اسمحوا لنا للي ما قدرنا ناخذ أسئلتهم لأننا ملتزمين بالوقت وتخطيناه شوية. شكرا جزيلا لكم.